Hello friends, today is day 3 of our 30-day declutter challenge, and today we're going to be working in our spices. I'm sure the majority of you probably don't have as many as I have, so you should be able to get this done in 15 minutes. Okay, let's get underneath the cabinet and pull out our spices. All right, so before I set my timer, I'm going to get underneath this cabinet and I'm going to show you what I've got going on. So this is more like a backstock cabinet. It holds all my extra spices and also the spices that I use to refill the canisters in my pantry. I'll show you those in a second. And it also holds all of my baking spices. So right here are the jars that I reach for on a daily basis, using some of those spices that's underneath the cabinet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set my timer and then we're going to get started. All right, so I replaced my can opener with one that is much easier for me to use. This thing oftentimes doesn't grab the top off, and I have all sorts of problems with this can opener. So I bought this one, and it's an electric one, and you just stick it on top and it cuts the top off. I also like that it cuts the top off so that there's not a sharp edge. And you can put the lid right back on the can if you need to. I do this like with the dog food. Okay, and in this container is where I keep my toaster. It keeps the crumbs out from underneath the cabinet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out one container at a time, and I'm going to check the dates on the majority of these things. And some of them I know that are outdated, and some of them I know that I absolutely do not use. So I'm just going to put those to the side. And then I will have a small little pile that I will give to one of my daughters. For Christmas, we made prime rib, and I put this Herbes de Provence on it, and wow, it was fabulous. Someone recommended that to me, and I will definitely be using that several times over. It's got a lot of good little spices in it, and one of the ones that's in there is lavender, which I thought was weird, but I'm telling you, it tasted really good. So I'm showing you that these are peppercorns. If you have a spice that is in its whole, or it's in its seed, or it's not ground or something like that, they last much longer than these other spices. And typically spices do last a long time. However, they do lose their flavor, they lose their smell, things like that. So I get rid of the really old spices. And also, I'm not using the majority of these spices, and I really don't want to carry them around. So I will see which ones my daughters want and pass those on to them. And whatever's not wanted, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it away. I know that's wasteful, but seriously, I'm tired of having these underneath the cabinet. I've got 4 containers underneath there, and it's just too much. So it's time to get rid of this stuff. I also need that space to put other things. I'm thinking about putting all of my like my crock pot and things like that underneath there, because right now I have that inside my pantry and it's just taking up space. So I really could use this cabinet for other things. So I want to get in here and get rid of the majority of these spices. The reason why I'm only pulling out one container at a time is because I have 15 minutes allotted to do this job. So I want to use that 15 minutes efficiently and get rid of the things that I don't need in that container. And then I'll pull out another container. That way, if at the end of the 15 minutes I still have a container left, I'll have to come back to that at another time, because I honestly really only want to spend 15 minutes underneath this cabinet. That's the whole goal of this whole 30-day challenge, is to try to keep it at 15 minutes. So I'm going to do that here. Anyways, I noticed that I have several smoky paprikas in here. It's because I keep buying them over and over because they're underneath this cabinet, and I don't know that I have that many. So this is really going to help to cut down on buying extra products that I don't need because I already have it. I also have 3 daughters, and they like to cook over here too, so some of these spices came from them, and they just left them here. So like the Creole, my daughter had a huge, is it a shrimp boil? No, it's a crawfish boil over here. I personally don't like crawfish, but for her baby shower, she had a huge crawfish boil. So I have a lot of the products from that baby shower. Now, that little boy, who is Chase, is now 5 years old. So those spices are definitely going in the trash. And then I just put that one down. What's it called? Tahine sauce or something like that. I bought that for something. I don't remember what, but it's fairly new. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side and give it to one of my daughters. This right here is something that Madeline gave me to bake beans with. I used part of it, and then the rest has just been sitting in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now I'm putting all the things back in this container, but I'm going to go ahead and combine them all into one container and try to minimize the amount of containers that I have underneath that cabinet. Okay, so let me clarify real quick. A lot of these things are spices that my husband uses when he cooks on the pit out in the backyard by the pool. I do have, some things that I use to refill my spice jars that are in the pantry, but the majority of this really belongs to my husband out there by the pool. But you can't keep it outside because it's humid here, and those spices would go bad out there. So I keep them underneath this cabinet for him. But now he's going to be able to see what he has. But I am checking the dates on a lot of these because they've been sitting under there. And I want him just to have the fresh things. Anyway, so I wanted to clarify that that's the reason why I still have so many left over. And then I also have a container that's just for my baking stuff. And you'll see that here in just a second. Okay, so here is my baking container. I also have a lot of chopped pecans and some chocolate chip morsels that I'll be putting in this container too. So here's a little story on that organic cocoa powder. I know that some of you don't follow me over on Instagram, so I was going to share this story with you. Our Olive Grace, when I was making, all of my cookies and things that I was passing out to the neighbors, I made some homemade brownies with that cocoa powder. And it calls for a lot of cocoa powder. Anyway, so I made some homemade brownies, and I had them on the counter waiting to cool. And my daughter asked me to go somewhere with her, so I went with her. And I came back, and I noticed that the brownies were gone. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Michael must have gotten into them and put them in the refrigerator, which they weren't supposed to go in the refrigerator. So I asked him about it, and we realized that Olive Grace had gotten into the brownies. And not only did she eat the brownies, she also ate her dinner after that. And we called the poison control, and we had to force her to throw up. They do all these measurements. They ask you what's in, what kind of powder. They want to know the brand and everything. And then you give them the measurements of everything that was in the brownies. And then they do some sort of math to figure out, her weight and how much she had and how much would be poisonous to her. Well, in fact, it was poisonous to her. So we had to force her to throw up. And the way that they do that is they have you give them, I think it's 4 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide. Now remember, this goes with the weight of your dog, so don't try this unless you call them first. Anyway, so we gave her 4 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, and then we had to take her outside and run her up and down the street because you want to shake up her stomach so that the hydrogen peroxide fizzes up and causes her to throw up. Well, we did that, and at first she didn't throw up, so my husband and I thought we would just give her another couple of tablespoons. which we probably shouldn't have done without asking first, but we did it. And sure enough, she started throwing up, which was all over my carpet. She tried so bad to make it to the slider so that she can go outside, but she just couldn't. So I got all that cleaned up, but yeah, she was not good. The next day we ended up having to take her in because she was salivating a lot and she was panting. So she did end up with chocolate toxicity, which was not good. She was sick for several days, didn't want to eat. She lost some weight. So anyways, be very careful with chocolate, especially dark chocolate, because it has a lot of the cacao in it, which is not good for dogs. I was so worried during the Christmas party that she would get a hold of one of the grandkids' cookies or things like that. So I kept her in the bedroom, which she was not happy about because she loves her family and she loves to be with the family. But I was so worried about all that chocolate. So anyways, be very careful with your chocolate. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so I condensed all that down to 2 baskets. So I had 4 baskets in the 1 white basket, and I condensed it down to 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean out this white basket, and I'm going to use it to hold the toaster because the other one is a little bit small, so the toaster doesn't fit flat in it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this, and we'll use this. I was very surprised that I was able to get through all those spices in 15 minutes. And you're going to see that I'm also able to even clean out from underneath the cabinet. So I've been dreading this for so long of getting underneath this cabinet because to me it was going to take a long time. I really believe that setting the timer for 15 minutes pushes you to get things done. There's just a lot less of thinking about things, you know what I mean? And here are those metal beaters that I was telling you about yesterday, that they say that it might be leaching lead into your food. So I'm looking to replace all of these. If you've heard anything about this, let me know down in the comments. Anyways, okay, we're down to 4 minutes and 42 seconds to get underneath this cabinet and get it clean. So I'm going to quickly get in here and vacuum up all the loose things, and then I'll wipe it out and get my stuff put back in here. All right, so this completes day 2 of our 30-day challenge. I hope that you found today's video helpful and that it's encouraged you to get underneath your cabinet or into your spice cabinet and remove any old spices that you're no longer using. And don't forget to tag me over on Instagram in a photo of what you've gotten out of your cabinet. So I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Until then, stay blessed, my friends.